On the Racing Insiders this week, we go to Lime Rock Park, Grand Am, the final race of the championship, the final race of the series. Rolex DP, we get a champion, youngest ever. In the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, it'll be back next year, but a great season that came to a close with last lap passes in both the Grand Sport and the street tuner races. We go to DTM, Zandvoort. We've got a championship interview with a championship driver. We hear a lot about Mike Rockefeller. And are you kidding me? What's going on in our heads? You'll be surprised at what's happening inside of our minds. That's next on the Racing Insiders. Welcome back to another edition of the Racing Insiders, the only place in broadcasting where you're going to get sports car content from around the world every week. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We've got guys all over the country. Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. He's going to give us the update a little bit later on the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Jeff Lepper is going to be co-hosting with me. He's in Northern California. Spectacular Rolex race at Lime Rock this weekend, the finale of all Grand Am racing, and it was a huge race for Wayne Taylor Racing. Their third win in a row, 5 wins altogether this year. Jordan Taylor, Max Angelelli, a championship. Peter Keane is there. Peter, a great race.
Yeah, definitely a great race. I mean, you can't say enough about Jordan Taylor. I guess they've completely swapped roles. You know, it used to be Max the Axe that would come in and show real aggression to win these races. And now all it does is Max, runs out the fuel stint. They put that young kid, Jordan Taylor, in there, and Jordan just goes out and wins. I mean, they're impressive. What's that, 2 or 3 weekends? They've just run off and left the field.
It was a huge win after a down year for Ganassi. Was it, let me ask you, Peter, you're the expert. Was it a down year for Ganassi as much as it was a great year for Wayne Taylor Racing?
Well, I'm kind of biased, but I mean, I don't know if it was a down year for Ganassi, but I think the racing gods kind of paid them back a little bit. You know, they kind of snookered us before the 24 Hours of Daytona, and they didn't get the BOP right. And they stunk up the first race of the year at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and then somehow they got that new motor and gearbox through the sanctioning body halfway through the year. And I mean, I guess everybody should believe in the racing gods, because essentially they took it away from Ganassi. I don't know if it was a down year for them or they just had bad luck.
And then the Rolex GT race was won by Eric Kern and Lawson Aschenbach in the Corvette. But Alessandro Bassan, he's had 2 teammates this year, Jeff Westphal and Lee Keane. They get the Rolex GT.
Well, it was very interesting. All the manufacturers, Ferrari, Porsche, and Chevrolet, brought an extra car for this weekend to try and sew up that championship. I mean, they were long shots. The Ferraris had a stronghold. But you got to make a call out to Eric Kern. Even back when I was racing SCCA against him up here, Eric Kern is the king of Lime Rock. So Aschenbach did a great job in the beginning, and then Eric Kern brings it home for the Whelen Corvette. So that was a great run. Very impressive by the Ferraris. They were probably the class of the field all year long, and they end up with the championship. But again, the Whelen boys come through at Lime Rock. So another great GT race.
And then I'm throwing a question at you here, Peter, you weren't prepared for. Just came to me. Some rules came out, some announcements came out from Grand Am this week that the rules for the prototypes are going to be the same for a couple of years. They haven't announced how they're going to equalize. Can you give any update, any analysis on what they said this week?
Well, essentially, I mean, I guess it's a good thing. They said that the rules would be the same until 16, and that the ACO will follow the rules. The only problem with this is we don't know what the rules are. We still don't know our engine packages. I mean, Troy from Spirit of Daytona has been given the green light to go test and go figure out what we need to do. But I mean, there are absolutely no rules going on. Here it is October. We're supposed to be testing it in November. I mean, it's crazy. There's still no rules package. So I mean, I guess it's a good thing that whenever the rules do come out, they'll be the same until 16. But as of right now, we have no idea what our rules package is for 14. Never mind worrying about all the way to 16.
That is the end to Grand Am road racing, the end to a great season, the end to a great championship. A championship that's been dominated by Ganassi Racing. They were the big guys on the block, the guys wearing the black hats that everybody chased. David versus Goliath. Some people like that story, that David winning this year from Wayne Taylor Racing. Others don't. I'm those that like the big guys that dominate the series and give drama to a championship. What do you think about that, Jeff Lepper?
Well, I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I think with rules being frozen, if one team such as Ganassi, that's done for the past 3 years, of course, up until this year, have won the championship, if a team starts to dominate again, maybe things might need to change if you have a better chassis, a better engine combination. Obviously, Scott Pruitt, Mimo Rojas, Ganassi Racing, a top-level team, probably the toppest level in all of sports car racing. It's hard to say that that's why they dominate, but they did get dethroned this year. I think it's good from a fan point, but it's got to be great from the little guy looking up. I mean, by far, don't get me wrong, Wayne Taylor Racing is not a little guy, but they are considered an underdog in this type of a series.
It will be good to see the Tudor United Sports Car Championship next season, starting at the Rolex 24 in January. A merger of the ALMS and Grand Am should be a step up in class for all sports car racing worldwide, but especially here in the United States. Next, we'll go to Lime Rock again, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. We'll hear from Jim Daniels, who'll give us a good wrap-up on the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge when the Racing Insiders return. We'll be right back.
Let us know what you think about what the Racing Insiders have to say. Tell us on Facebook and Twitter. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. My co-host Jeff Lepper is in Northern California outside Sacramento in a little place called Folsom. Right now, let's go to Lime Rock, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. The little bull ring at Lime Rock is so small we had to separate the huge fields in Grand Sport and Street Tuner into separate races. Jeff, give us a little background on what happened in those races.
Well, going to the ST, one of my favorite classes, of course, for the street tuner category, those Mazda MX-5s finally had a racetrack that they could race at, that they had an advantage. Their advantage is braking, not so much on horsepower. You mentioned it before, that Lime Rock Park bull ring, there was the advantage, and it was Joel Miller and Tristan Nunez, 18-year-old high school student. Nunez getting his first start and a win in the Freedom Autosport Mazda MX-5. Passed Gregory Leafouge with 20 minutes left, then passed the Kyle Gimple Compass 360 Honda Civic for the lead with 4 minutes left, able to pull away and get the win.
Thanks, Jeff. Let's get a little analysis now from Jim Daniels, who was monitoring all that was going on in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge racing. Jim?
Rock'em Sock'em weekend in Grand Am, GS, Continental Tire, of course, and ST. You had a championship battle come down to the end in ST. I know Cal Gimple and Ryan Eversley were just biting their nails that they had this thing won. Everybody's throwing a bunch of cars at this. The Mazda's brought another car with Joel Miller and Tristan Nunez. The Compass 360 brought another car with Billy Johnson and his teammate, and they're doing everything they can to try to win this championship. At the end of the day, we had a long green flag run, and a long green flag run breeds the best cars. The best cars happen to be the Mazdas, who drove to the front. Joel Miller, Tristan Nunez get the win. Tristan Nunez's first win and first race in Grand Am ST. Of course, he's a past champion in IMSA Prototypes, which is the same car that he drove there to win that championship, is what I'm coaching next year with the new young gun out of the Mazda ladder system. At the end of the day, just great racing. Then you have the GS race. These guys are battling all race long. 2 or 3 minutes ago, just like the ST race, Matt Bell has burned down the back tires on that Camaro, praying for a caution. Billy Johnson chases him down, passes him on the outside. Talked to Billy earlier today. Billy says, he made the car wide, he made the car wide, he made the car wider. Billy's 4 tires off at the exit of turn 2. gathers it up, tucks back in, tries it again the next lap, makes the pass stick out of 3. Only wins by a couple of tenths over Matt Bell. My hats are off to Billy Johnson and Jack Roush Jr. Billy drove a masterful race, keeping his car balanced, keeping his tires under him, managing that right foot. And that's what it takes to win a race with no yellows, because the whole race went without a yellow. First time since 2009.
Thanks, Jim. I really paid attention to what happened in the Grand Sport race because I like Billy Johnson, and he's a great driver. He and Jack Roush have been a good team for a number of years. They got the first win at Daytona this year, and now they won the season closer at Lime Rock. But Billy doesn't have a ride for next year. What do you think about it, Jeff? Do you think that he can come around and get a ride for next year?
Well, I was at that Daytona race at the beginning of the year, and he had taken over the car from Jack Roush Jr. during the pits, and the race went significantly green, and he had enough of a lead that when he needed to do a pit stop for tires and fuel at the end, he was able to come down pit lane, get his service, and get back out and maintain his lead. This guy can wheel a car. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see Billy Johnson and Jack Roush Jr. come over to Pirelli World Challenge, come race with me.
Promoting the Pirelli World Challenge. Very different kind of racing there. 1 hour races versus the 2.5 hour, 2 hours and 45-minute racing in Grand Am. But maybe that's something that Jack Roush Jr. and Billy Johnson can handle. I think Billy, though, wants to get to the next level in his career. He's had success with the Rolex GT and even driven Daytona prototypes. If he gets that silver ranking for the drivers, it will give him an opportunity to be on the top of the list for a lot of teams who need a silver driver to take advantage of the ranking structure that will be in the Tudor United Sports Car Championship next year. Let's follow that. Make sure we get the update on Billy Johnson and other drivers like him who are going for new ranking from the officials in the Tudor Championship. Right now, we'll go to DTM in Zandvoort, where we get a new champion, Mike Rockenfeller. It's a great story, and we have it all covered here on the Racing Insiders. We'll be right back.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com, for racers by racers.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Jeff Lepper is in Northern California, outside Sacramento, in a place called Folsom. And yes, that's the same place they did the song, The Folsom Prison Blues. Let's go to Zandvoort now in Holland, where the DTM, second to the last round in the championship. They still have Hockenheim to go, but we do have a champion, Mike Rockenfeller, 2013, his first championship. A great win for him. He gets the championship after almost being out of the series a few years ago. Jeff, give us a little update on this round at Zandvoort.
Well, that race was a great race, round number 9 for the DTM series, and Augusto Farfus makes it 2 in a row, trying to do everything he could to keep his championships hopes alive. Unfortunately, Mike Rockenfeller finishes in second, has another Audi driver right behind him, and in fourth with Timo Scheider and Matthias Ekstrom in fourth. But I think it was Mike Rockenfeller's season in the DTM. He clinches because the Hockenheim round is the final round, round number 10. He's got a 26-point lead in the DTM. A win equates to 25 points. So now the battle is going to be on between the team now. Who's going to get that team championship? Is it going to be Mike Rockenfeller's team? They only have a 3-point lead over Augusto Farfus' Team RBM team, which ironically enough is also the team with Joey Hand, who gets one of his best finishes of the year in 7th.
You know, Jeff, we talk a lot about team orders here in the United States, but at Audi, it's not a big thing. In the DTM, Mike Rockenfeller's championship came with a little help from some of his Audi teammates, Timo Scheider in particular, who kind of protected him to get finished second and get that championship today. Let's get a little from Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 DTM champion.
DTM champion 2013, how does that sound to you?
Sounds not too bad, I would say. We were fighting for that, we were hoping and aiming for it, and now finally we made it. You know, it's one race before the end. We can be proud of ourselves. Everybody in the team, Phoenix, Audi, myself, the sponsor, Scheffler, it's great, you know, for them as well. So, great day, and we should celebrate it. Well, it was tough, you know. It was not easy. I was struggling a bit after the start, and I passed Wittmann in the first lap, and I tried to catch Augusto, which was good. Then on the standard tire, I was just losing performance.
You know, I have some very personal memories myself of Mike Rockenfeller. I was doing some work with the Grand Am Rolex series in 2007. We were at Utah at Miller Motorsports Park. A guy sticks a note in front of me and says that the note says that Colin McRae had died in a helicopter crash. Mike Rockenfeller was in the booth with me. We were doing an interview, and we shared a little bit about our memories of Colin McRae, and that will be with me forever. That's Mike Rockenfeller is a very special person because we shared that moment together. And I remember also when he was at the Rolex 24, I don't know, maybe 04, 05, in a Porsche. I think it was for Flying Lizards. And he made up like 20 minutes in his last stint in the last hour or two of the race, threw it around the track like he was in a Hot Wheels car. Kids playing, made up enormous time, just an incredible drive. Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 DTM champion. Jeff, you have any memories of a great driver like that?
Actually, if you want to go way back to him, I remember watching him at Indy Motor Speedway when Formula One was there, and he was racing the Porsche Super Cup and won that series for the year, was the #1 Porsche driver in the world. And I watched him race at Indy Motor Speedway and Porsche Cup.
Mike Rockenfeller, the DTM champion for 2013. He'll get a chance to celebrate a little bit at Hockenheim, the final round in a couple weeks of the DTM. Next, Are You Kidding Me? What's going on in our heads? We'll get a little bit from everybody. It was a busy week. You'll get a chance to learn a little bit about what's going on in our minds. The Racing Insiders will be right back.
This segment is brought to you by Safe Racer.
Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. A lot of you email us and tell us this is one of your favorite segments, Are You Kidding Me? Because you get a chance to know what's going on in our minds. Let's go to Jim Daniels first.
Well, guys, my Are You Kidding Me for this week is a Continental Tire Challenge from Lime Rock. First time since 2009 the GS cars go cautionless for the entire race, what a war. And in the ST race, you get down to 4 or 5 minutes outside pass by Joel Miller for the lead. Can't find anything about that anywhere without digging it up. You have to wait for the tape delay. Sure hope next year, my Are You Kidding Me is Grand Am, USCR, whatever it's going to be. Let's get these races on sooner. Sure would like to see them broadcast live on the internet like some of the other series are. Is spectacular racing. Both classes, the win decided the last 5 minutes of the race after an absolute 50-60 lap war. It was something to see. Back at you.
Thanks, Jim. Jeff, what's going on in your mind?
Well, I got to talk about DTM. It's one of my favorite series. It's a series, probably the only professional series in the entire world where every single driver is a paid driver. There's no rental rides in DTM. And if there's no rental rides, why are these factories not fighting this out every race? Mercedes-Benz, where are you at? Gary Paffett finishes 9th. This is a guy that's a test driver for McLaren in their Formula One team, and the best he can muster at Zandvoort is 9th. Boy, Mercedes really missed the ball this year in DTM, 3rd in the championship. They do have a driver with Christian up in 3rd in the championship for driver's side, but boy, Mercedes is really missing the ball. I don't understand it. Let's go. Come on. Audi, BMW, Mercedes. Let's get on with it. Are you kidding me?
You know, my Are You Kidding Me goes back to Jordan Taylor, the Rolex DP champion for this year, the last Rolex DP champion and the youngest Rolex DP champion. I think he's only 22 years old. But one of my favorite questions to ask a driver is, what's in your iPod? Tells me a lot about who they are. He almost knocked me over that some of his favorite music is the Beatles. He's a big Anglophile, loves the Beatles and Frankie Valli. Crazy music taste but he says it's because that's what his dad listened to and that's what he grew up liking. He's an Anglophile with the Beatles music, much like Sebastian Vettel, Formula One champion. Are you kidding me? Our Rolex DP champion, 22 years old, the youngest ever, loves music that we grew up with. Us old folks. Great story. When we come back, the calendar that you should be paying attention to this weekend, a busy weekend in motorsports. The Racing Insiders will be right back. This is what you should be paying attention to next weekend in sports car racing. The Canadian Rally Championship goes west to Merritt, British Columbia. The World Rally Championship is in France, Rally France. Say goodbye to Sébastien Loeb, the 9-time champion, and maybe welcome Sébastien Ogier, who's going for his own championship with Volkswagen. We're going to the ALMS round at VIR with no Oak Tree at the Oak Tree Turn. It fell down this summer. The Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup is in Houston, along with IndyCar at Houston. Street race, good race. And the Pirelli World Challenge, a doubleheader at Houston. And I bet you that, Jeff Lepper, that's where you're going this weekend, right?
Yeah, I sure am, as we crown champions in all 4 of our GT, GTS, TC, and TCB classes. Of course, Ryan Winchester, our touring car champion as of now, he doesn't even have to show up and he gets the championship, but 1 point separates our TCB guys, and it's a toss-up between James Safranis and Johnny O'Connell and his Cadillac in GT, and who knows what's going to happen. Can Jack Baldwin hold it together in GTS and get his championship?
You know, it is incredible how close they are, Johnny O'Connell and James Safranis. They've had problems all year long. Safranis dominated early when O'Connell had problems, and then O'Connell has won a couple of races, and Safranis has had problems. And all of that blends into a tight championship at the end of the year, the doubleheader at Houston. Myself, I'm going to be paying attention to the Rally France with the Sébastien Loeb showing up for his final run before he goes to sports cars. He and Sébastien Ogier, the points leader, were like oil and water when they were at Citroën. Ogier can get his championship with Volkswagen. Let's see if Ogier can rise above the spotlight that's going to be on Sébastien Loeb, or is it just going to be more oil and water? Be an interesting round, Rally France. Let us know what's on your mind. Email us, Twitter, Facebook, The Racing Insiders. Let us know what's going on with you. We'll be back next week with coverage of this busy weekend. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. For Jeff Lepper in Northern California, Peter Keane at Lime Rock, and Jim Daniels in Memphis, Tennessee. Look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, take care of each other, respect each other. I'm Bill Wood. Peace.